Hi there, my name's Alex Wise and today I'm going to show you a technique called shutter stacking. Shutter stacking is not rocket science and I'd be surprised if most people aren't already using this, but I just want to give a bit of an insight into how I use it in my workflow and hopefully it benefits someone out there. Shutter stacking for me is really about exploiting, where we've come with Photoshop these days and how conditions in a scene can quickly change. For the purpose of this photo that I've got up on the screen, I had some great clouds above my head which you can see. However, I envisaged some waves to be rushing around this rock and to be honest, the waves never came. I was standing there waiting and I quickly got a feeling that as the sun was starting to go down that I'd miss out on that nice cloud above my head and combining the two elements. So what I did was I applied shutter stacking. And today I'm going to walk you through the technique of how I made this final image come about. It's, as I said at the start, it's not rocket science and really easy to do. So a bit of pre-warning, the images I'm using are just unedited outputs from my raw files, mostly because I can't find the final PSD for the image you see here, which is a bit alarming, but I'm sure I'll find it later on. So as I was saying, the clouds above my head looked great. As you can tell, like there's some really nice texture in them and still a bit of color, but I'm not sure if you can notice the color's starting to fade though at the same time. So what I did was I took this base image and I kept my tripod in the exact same position. This is really important when you're doing shutter stacking. If your tripod moves a tiny bit, which can be a bit common when you're shooting seascape scenes and the water rushes around your tripod, that's okay. You can fix it in Photoshop, but it's best if your tripod remains in the exact same position, and it just makes processing so much easier later on. So fast forward 10 minutes later, and eventually that nice wave came through. Unfortunately though, the color and texture in the sky had gone. This is an overexposed image to more bring out the water rushing around the rocks, but I do have a neutral exposure of the image, and unfortunately the texture and color that you saw in the previous image had pretty much gone. So for this reason, I decided to combine the two images, and I'm going to quickly show you how I did this now. Just for my Photoshop snobs watching at home, I'm going to layer mask this in a pretty quick and dirty manner, mostly because my feathering skills are pretty painful to watch and I don't really want to put anyone through that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the image and copy it, and then go back to my base image and paste it as a layer. Cool. With this done, I now have two layers. I've got my base image where the clouds look great, and another image of the wave coming around the rock, just as I'd hoped. So how do I go about combining the two images, you ask? Easy. What we do is we create a layer mask, and with our layer mask selected, we select the brush tool, and we ensure that the color is set to black, and then maybe just lower the opacity a bit for the purpose of this. And then I paint over the image where I want to bring back that nice sky. Sorry, I'm just using my MacBook, which is a bit painful when you're using a trackpad. There we go. As I said previously, look, for the final image I did feather the sky out just to make it a bit better, but it actually hasn't come up too bad considering that I'm just using the paintbrush very poorly. And that's pretty much all there is to it. As you can see, let's just do a quick before and after. So this is my base image. And that's the image with the waves rushing around the rock. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And look, it's a technique that I would recommend that everyone keeps up their sleeve for when they are shooting that image and time is running out and the clouds are quickly changing in color and texture and you need to make the most of the scene. If you can, do what I've done here, capture a nice base image of the clouds and then wait for that right wave to come through and overlay it in Photoshop when you get home, because it doesn't take long and it can deliver some nice results like this. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a message and I'd be more than happy to help. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.